Welcome to the Visualize Meditations podcast, hosted by your friend Sasha Patil, a Chopra certified meditation teacher. The first step to creating the life of your dreams is to create a clear and compelling vision for what you want for the future. I'll be guiding you on visualization meditation so you can get clear on your deepest desires. Let's get started so you can turn your vision into a reality. Hi. Hello, welcome back to another episode of the Visualize Meditations podcast. It's your gal pal Sasha. Let me paint the scene for you. I am currently about an hour outside of Zion National Park, and I'm recording this intro because I just came from New Orleans with two of my best friends, Katie and Valeria, and I wanted to record this intro because the interview is a little bit broken up. We decided to chat and answer a couple of questions at a bunch of different locations where we were through our time together. So we are gallivanting around New Orleans during Mardi Gras answering these questions. I hope you guys enjoy this episode. Hello. Hi. Welcome.
Hello. Howdy.
Welcome to the podcast.
How you
Question.
doing? How you doing?
Question 1. How do we know each other?
I always tell people
We went to summer camp together. That's what I tell
I prefer
people.
to tell people that over them
Like
drawing their own conclusions
explaining,
about us being in
yeah.
a cult. I start with summer camp and then explain further.
Well, with Katie, I say summer camp. With Sasha, I say she was my camp counselor.
That's
because you
true.
were.
That's
I was
because
you were.
technically I was yours too.
Well, yeah, but she was my dorm
That's cute.
person too. Like she was my camp counselor. She was responsible for me.
Technically, you're my granddaughter in camp terms.
Hell yeah. So that's how we know each other.
If you know, you know.
If you know, you know, Gills, are all my friends from Tony Robbins summer camp. Actually,
Potentially.
yes. Literally, every time I talk to my friend, they're like, how do you know this person? And I was like, guess. And they're like, Tony Robbins summer camp? Yeah. Basically.
Gills.
So that's how we know each other.
Wait, how are you guys grandbabies?
Because we were both youth leads of Teen Heroes.
Yes.
Oh.
But
So I was 2017,
and I was 2019.
so then 2018 is technically her mother.
Sabrina Drobeck.
Hey, Sabrina.
Hey. Okay, wait. So,
It was me, Sabrina, her. That makes her
are
my
you the youth
granddaughter.
league year after me?
I don't know.
Yes.
Yes. And then you're the youth league year after Katie.
No, 2 years.
2 years after Katie.
Whoa.
I just referred to myself in the third person.
That's so wild. Okay, so that's how we know each other.
Yep.
Tony Robbins summer camp.
Hell yeah.
Where are we coming from right now?
We're live from New Orleans, live from Mardi Gras. Fun fact, they love me and they kept me, and so I brought them to the parades because Mardi Gras day is tomorrow. Today is Lundi Gras.
Lundi
Gras.
Oh, like Lundi, like
Yeah,
yes,
so
it's French.
Lundi is French for Monday, and Mardi Gras Fat Tuesday, Fat Monday.
Today's Monday.
Today's Monday. That's why I said Fat Monday afterwards.
That's why.
I keep thinking like, why is this? Is it a Friday? No.
No.
It's
It's Monday.
It's a
Literally everywhere else, it's a Monday.
It's fucking Monday. All right.
Tuning out.
Bye.
Love you. Bye.
Hello. Good morning. So,
Good morning.
Hello. Second question on this tour. What's your story?
Oh my lord. Oh my lord. Well, I was born in Venezuela, emigrated to the United States with nothing but the clothes on our backs, grew up in Miami, went to New Orleans, went through a lot of trauma, moved to Hawaii, and now I live a better life for it. That's really the
That's your
condensed
story.
version.
Okay. My story. Born and raised in Colorado. Met the love of my life on my street when
Hell
I was
yeah.
17. Married almost 2 years. Loving my job, loving my friends, and making the most of it.
What are 3 words you'd use to describe yourself?
Gregarious,
Ooh.
driven, persuasive.
Compassionate, loyal, resilient.
I like yours.
Gregarious, driven, and persuasive. Why did you pick those words? And same Valeria with your words.
Okay, I picked gregarious because I think I've always been labeled as bubbly, and I think as I've gotten older, I don't like the way that fits.
Okay.
I think gregarious fits much more, like essentially being a people for the people, a people person, and like living to enjoy people and love. I think I picked, what was the other one? Driven?
Driven, yeah.
Yeah, nothing stands in my way. Yeah, if I want something, I'll be getting it. I'll be making that happen. And I think persuasive in that I'll make it happen.
She'll make it happen. All right.
Alrighty. So I chose, my first one was compassionate, and I think that's because my whole life I've been labeled as emotional because I see people, I see things, and I feel it very hard, and I think I think to be labeled as emotional has a negative connotation, and I think it's a power in it to love and to have compassion for others. Loyal, because I am fiercely loyal, like, to a fault. I always like to say, like, I would go to war for my people. Not to quote Mr. Darcy like I did last night, but my good fortune, once lost, is lost forever. So, fiercely loyal. And then resilient, because I've been through a lot and I continually go through a lot. Yeah. And it's never like, I'm going to throw in the towel and be done. It's always, what comes next? What next? So how do we grow from this? How do we grow through this?
Yes.
So,
yes.
that's me.
Dang. Greetings from the car. What's the best piece and the worst piece of advice you've ever received?
The worst piece of advice I've ever received was from my mother. And she would always say, why are you crying? Nobody died for you to be crying. And then when somebody did die, she said, okay, you've cried enough, right? I was never allowed to cry. I was never allowed to show weakness. And that was like the advice my mother gave me. So then I think, in turn, the best piece of advice is just to be be completely authentically you and feel what you're feeling.
I was just trying to come up with what the worst advice that I've ever received was. I don't think I have any. I truly think that whenever someone has tried to put anything like that onto me, it's just like clearly not stuck because I can't remember a single thing. But I think the best, I literally just said to Sasha less than an hour ago, is just to simplify. If something in the context that her and I were talking about, if something feels icky, it is icky. If it feels wrong, it is wrong. If it feels right, it is right on the flip side. But I don't know. I can't think of the worst advice. What do you think, Jeff?
I can't really think of any. I think you're right. A lot of times bad advice just goes right out the window.
Yeah, something I've been living by lately that's kind of like what Katie was saying about simplifying is whenever I'm very anxious, I pause and I'm like, you live and you die. You live and you die. It's that simple. So.
Okay, along the same threads, it's like basically the same saying, but in different words. I've said this to Jeff before. It's like when you hear hooves, think horses, not zebras, right? Like when you're thinking like something could be like this or could be like this, and you're thinking of like kind of future tripping, think of what's most likely. If you hear hooves, think horses, not zebras, of what's most likely to happen instead of the crazy, extreme, rare circumstances that might happen and like future trip yourself out.
I use this term, future tripping, all the time, Katie, all the time, because I do it constantly. My top strength is futuristic on the Clifton Strengths Finders, which basically means like I can see every future possibility in every which way, positive, negative, and I future trip so hard, both in positive and negative ways.
I think one time I was given a sticker, actually. I think I still have it. You guys might remember this happening, but I got a sticker that literally said, don't trip on what's in front of you. Yeah. There's no reason to stumble on something that's yet to happen.
One thing that I've been doing lately that I like, we always ask ourselves the question like, oh, what's the best you can do, right? As opposed to what's the worst that can happen? What's the best that can happen? And that's always helped me. But recently what I've been doing is I've been writing that down. If I'm anxious about a situation, I write down what's the best that can happen, and I write down that scenario if it's best case scenario, and it like completely expels the negativity from my body, and that has helped a lot. That's actually, fun fact, I was job hunting for almost 6 months, and I discovered that right around the time of an interview that I had for a job. I was really anxious about it, and I literally wrote down what's the best that can happen, and I wrote down I ace this interview, I get this job, blah blah blah, and that was the job that I got after months and months of interviewing and job hunting. So yeah.
So it's now currently mid to end February. What's the biggest lesson you feel like you've learned in the last year?
Sasha, it's March 5th.
Oh shit! It's March. It's March, y'all. Okay.
Sasha, it's March.
It's mid-February.
Can you tell that I have no idea where I am, when it is? Okay. Anyway, so it's beginning of March. What do you feel like is the biggest lesson you've learned in the last year?
I think my biggest thing is I used to be the kind of person who had to stick my nose in everything, had to know everything, had to feel like I was in control of everything, had to give my opinion for everything. And like in the last year, and I don't know if it's just because I was living on an island alone, and so I didn't have the opportunity to do any of that, but I very much have learned to keep to myself, like I don't feel a need anymore to stick my nose in everything, to be heard in everything, to give my opinion about everything. And it's very freeing to just live for your own, if that makes sense. So it like is very liberating.
Katie?
I was just thinking, I'm like, I think I'm still learning my lesson from last year, and that's that like I do have a voice and that people do want to hear what I have to say, and that it isn't just like an afterthought. And I think I'm still learning it. I think I keep having lessons that I have to relearn over and over again, but I think those are the important ones.
I feel like I'm relearning the same lesson over and over again.
Yeah.
Constantly.
Exactly. Jeff, do you have a lesson that you learned in the last year?
I think as you get older, you realize that time goes by a lot faster. And I think it's really important to keep creating firsts in your life and keep creating new memories and doing things that scare you. Because I think even on a chemical level, you're going to remember those things a lot better, and it's going to feel like you're living a lot more full instead of sinking into a routine. And I've had a lot of moments, I think, in the past year where it feels like you're just sinking into a routine. Things are going really fast, like months are slipping by. So I don't know. I guess that's what I thought about.
Create new memories?
Last year. New memories, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a year of a lot of firsts, but also like recognizing the small first, like your first solo trip, or like your first, I don't know, like your first time going to the gym by yourself, like just like little things like that are
outside your comfort zone.
Yeah, outside your comfort zone, but can still be celebrated.
Yeah. What's a childhood dream that still lives within you?
Oh, I have a good one for this.
Okay, you go first.
Childhood dream, this is very literal, okay? But I always wanted horses. I always wanted to ride horses and be around horses. And honestly, be a horse. Like, I think I was one of those kids. And I drive by, on my way to work, I drive by this equestrian center. Both of you guys have seen it.
Oh, yeah.
On my way to work, it's this beautiful equestrian center. It has all these horses. And every day I look for this one particular horse. I think he's beautiful. And I'm assuming he's a man. I don't know. And my dream that I've had since I was a kid would be to have, like, horses in some capacity, except that I married Jeff, and Jeff is, like, deathly allergic to horses.
No.
So it's, like, a dream I have that one day when I have, like, disposable income and disposable time, I'm going to spend time with horses.
Amazing.
Okay. But it's going to be, like, to save children, solve world hunger.
Peace.
World peace.
No, I'm actually going to go with, like, my first childhood dream that I can think of that is still, it's my first and it continues. And it's the same for different reasons now, but my original dream was to go to Paris. And, like, I was, for whatever reason, as a kid, I was obsessed with Paris. Like, apparently, I don't remember this because I was, like, 4. Or actually, I think I was 6. But when we first moved to the United States, apparently I convinced, like, my first grade teacher that we were from France, or, like, that we had lived in France. And when my dad came to pick us up at school, she was like, how was your time in France? Because my dad had been to France, but I don't even know if I knew that. He was like, how do you know that I've been to France? And she was like, Valeria said she was born in France. I guess I was so convincing that I convinced this teacher that I was from France, that I was from Paris. So that's like the running joke. Oh, speaking of the devil, my dad just texted me. That was like the running joke in the house that I was from Paris. Like, my dad, like, brought it up at my quinceañera and told that story. And, like, to this day, like, going to Paris is just, like, my dream. And I think it's still my dream because since I can't leave the country, I don't know when that dream will become a reality. So it's for most people, it's like, well, why don't you just go to Paris? Why don't you just save up? I, like, physically can't go yet. So it's still very much like a dream to be in Paris. So.
Okay, well, when you want to go, I will happily go with you. I lived there for 4 months at one point. I'll be spending the summer there, so I don't know when you're going to be able to, but when you want to, you let me know and we will go.
Okay.
And I will show you around.
Perfect.
My spots. Is there a magic moment in your life that if I'm like, oh, think of a magic moment, is there one that like immediately comes to mind that you could describe?
Mine's like cheesy.
Then go.
It's cheesy, but I love it. I hope it's yours too. But it was walking down the aisle at my wedding, which both of these guys were here. It was so surreal. And I'm sure like everybody says that, but for me, I expected like my wedding to not feel like everybody else's wedding because I work in the wedding industry. And I just thought it would feel like I was at work, and I thought that it would feel like very like man-made and not very authentic, and like nothing will compare to that moment because so much work was put into it that it could just be. And I hope you guys felt that. I'm sure Jeff did too, but there was just nothing quite like it. My favorite song from Twilight was playing and it still is like this anchor for me of every time that song comes on. Or like the other day I was watching all the Twilight movies all the way through, and that song came on and I just was like brought instantly back. And I remember feeling such peace. And I think most brides, you expect to feel a lot of nerves. And I've seen a lot of brides as I'm sending them down the aisle that they feel this like nerves, like they're going to throw up and pass out. When I was really pleasantly surprised that I didn't feel that. Like it just felt like a truly authentic, like magical moment. And I'll never forget it. I'll just never forget that.
Katie, that's beautiful. This isn't necessarily like a magic moment, and I will talk about one moment, but when I was in Hawaii, like I had so much. The whole point of moving there was to set out to grow, and so much growth happened I remember after about a month of living there, I was like, my friend was driving us to this like festival, and I just like, and the sun was setting and I was crying. I was like, I did it, like I moved here. But I like experiencing all these moments of like, for example, a lot of people experience island fever when you first move to an island, because you're like out in the middle of nowhere, literally surrounded by an ocean. And I never really experienced that, but I would look out on the horizon and be a little stressed out. And then at the end of my time there, I looked out on the ocean and had such a sense of peace. And there was one moment, and I mentioned this earlier in our trip, but we went camping in the volcano crater, and the sun was setting, and we were playing just like these like songs that made us happy, and 6s to 9s came on, and like we had no cell service, so it was just like me and my two buddies that I had made just camping in this volcano crater. And it was such a sense of, I am so insignificant in this world, and this life is so beautiful. Yes, we go through hardships, but like, why am I like nothing matters, but in the most beautiful way. Like we live and we die in the most beautiful way. And just to be able to experience almost like a year of stuff like that, like this life is so, like all of the nature that's around me, all of this will outlive me. And it was such like a beautiful shift in like mentality now that, yeah, it was like a magical year for me.
That's incredible. Jeff, do you have a magic moment?
Well, I think, yeah, when Katie walked down the aisle, that was,
you don't have to
that was
steal
pretty-
mine.
that's pretty
Come up
good.
with another one.
To avoid duplicates, I think recently, coming through lava on the Grand Canyon,
Yeah.
I think just we've been on the river for 15 days at that point, out in the middle of nowhere, and the whole camp was pretty dour the night before going through lava. Lava Falls is the biggest rapid on the canyon, and you come across this big rock. It's called Anvil Rock, and you camp near it the night before. And there's all this superstition around it. Don't look at the rock. Don't think about the rock.
Don't touch the rock.
Don't touch the rock. Don't go near the rock. And there's no explanation for it, but everyone's very superstitious. And you go up to the scout, and everyone's quiet. Everyone's very like in their head, and there's all this pressure. And you're just looking down at some of the biggest waves you've ever seen, like thinking like, how am I gonna get through this like in one piece, keep my boat safe, my passengers safe, all that stuff. And then once it's like you plot your route out, and then once you drop in, like it's instant flow state, where you either do or don't. And if you don't, you're going over. But if you do, you're like living 100% in the moment. And I don't think there's a lot of experiences like that. People that like free solo, people that do like extreme art and things like that know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But lava was a real pinnacle moment for me. And then you come through the other side, and it's like pure relief and euphoria. And like instant camaraderie as the boats start coming out of the rapid, and like you realize everybody made it safe in one piece, and like you just ran this rapid. It's the last really significant rapid on the canyon too. Like you made it in one piece. It's a really special moment for me, I think.
Well, and especially because your passenger was literally my brother. Like, he had to get my family through. And at that point, like, Jeff and I hadn't talked for weeks. And, like, we were very just separated from, like, our from like being grounded. And I remember the day that I knew, because I was following him on the map, like I knew that he would be going into lava that day, and I was just sitting like hundreds of miles away, like thousands of miles away, just sitting there, just like hoping that he was right side up the whole time.
Yeah, made it through. And once you get through the rapid, there's a spot called Tequila Beach, this little spit of sand.
Yeah.
And everyone basically pulls over. And traditionally, you do a shot of tequila at Tequila Beach. And basically, we all pulled over, and everyone's just like high off the adrenaline. And you're like high for 20, 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Just running around this beach screaming, just so happy.
Yeah.
It was a great success in a lot of ways, yeah.
I would have paid so much money to see you at Tequila Beach and just be a fly on the wall. Like, not to take from your moment, but to just watch you be in that state of euphoria. I would have paid a lot of money for that.
We're going to get you to Tequila Beach.
I would love to go to Tequila Beach. That sounds like my kind of beach.
I love it. Is there something you used to desire that's now a normal part of your life?
Literally the exact life that I live right now. I always dreamed about living on my own, having a pet, like decorating my own place, turning it into a home. When I was a senior in high school and I decided I was moving to New Orleans, I would fantasize about meeting a nice little southern boy who would sweep me off my feet. Like, the exact life that I'm living now is what I would dream about in my youth, and it's just so, like, I have to pinch myself. There's so many moments, especially when I'm going through a hard time, I have to be like, this is what you dreamed of. So
I would say mine's very similar, actually. You know how, like, when you're always like thinking about what's next. You're like, oh, once I'm graduated from college, and once I'm married, and once I have kids, and once I have the perfect house. But it's I think you've maybe heard of this quote where it's like, you have the things now that like you dreamed you would one day. And I think that's so true. Like, Jeff and I about to buy our first house, and like happily married, and both in like really wonderful jobs, and like making relatively good money. There's always more. There's always like the next dream, but I think it's really important to stop and be grateful for what you still have.
Hell yeah. Last two questions, which, first of all, thank you guys for coming on my podcast as like a,
Mobile guest.
mobile guests. Yes. I love you guys so much. I'll do all the mushy gushy stuff at the end, but one of the questions, which is kind of funny since you guys are younger than me, and typically most of the people I have asked this question to are older, but normally I'd say if you could go back to your 26-year-old self, because I'm 26 right now, what would you tell them? If you could jump forward to your 26-year-old self, or maybe me, it doesn't matter. Maybe this is two questions. What advice would you give your 26-year-old self, and or what advice would you give me in this moment right now?
You see, I feel like those are 26-year-old self. My 26-year-old self is in 3 months, and then for you.
Yeah, because those are two different advices that I would give.
Intense.
And I've never asked anybody that second question, and the only reason I'm asking is because it's you guys.
Okay.
I just want to preface.
I would say if I could jump forward to my 26-year-old self, I would tell her to have faith that everything's going to be okay and to let it be okay. And I would give you the exact same advice. I would say you have to let the good things happen to you. Like, you can't try to control everything. And like, the more you try to overanalyze and more you try to like manipulate in your own mind and in your own state, like, you have to be able to like be open to just letting good things happen naturally and organically. And have faith that they will end up that way, like, it's like what you were saying of like, what is the worst thing that could happen is such like an overwhelming thing, but like letting the best case scenario like also be plan A.
I think for my 26-year-old self, I would say that I am proud of her, no matter where she's at, because no matter where she's at is where she's meant to be, and everything that she's done up to that point has been for the betterment of herself. And for you, I would say, yeah, what's the best that could happen? Live and let live. Like, we live and we die. You're going through this period of intense uncertainty, and you're never going to be able to do that again.
Mm-hmm. One thing I try to remind myself of, and I'm the worst at it, so I remind myself of it often, is that what's meant for you will not pass you by. And like, if it was meant for you and if people are meant for you, like, it will be, and you can have faith that, like, if things don't work out, if the house doesn't go through, if the plan doesn't go to plan, like, what's meant for you will not pass you by.
Very often I've like had a plan and and I'm like so excited about it and this is what I want and then it won't go according to plan, but then I mean I'm not reinventing the wheel here. I'm not inventing the wheel here. What ends up happening, I'm like, whoa, I would have never planned for this, but I'm happier than I think I ever would have been with my
Yeah.
original plan.
Like, this is better than what I could have thought.
Ever thought. And that's just life. That's just how it goes.
If future you were to come back to this moment, what wisdom would you give yourself now?
Future me is coming back to me now and saying her future wisdom.
Yes.
Okay.
I think to just enjoy it. I'm the youngest I'll be again, ever, right? And literally every moment is fleeting. That's what I find that, like, the advice I've been giving myself since I was 16 years old that I've been taking, kind of like I mentioned earlier, I'm very much the kind of person, I always know what I've been given. Like, the phrase, like, you don't know what you had until it's gone.
Yeah.
I've never understood that because
Like, no, I know.
I know exactly what I have, and I almost try to cling to it when I have it. And what I have always gone back to since I was 16 is being like, whoa, this is real. This is happening. This is right now. This is all going to be a story someday.
Yeah.
Like, the moment is gone. This is all going to be a story someday. So as it's happening, to just live it, because I'm only living it for this fleeting moment. So just to enjoy, like, now. That's like the advice I've been giving myself for a decade.
I think mine's very similar of, like, I think my future self would look back on me today and, like, grinding and, like, making it happen with everything I've got and being scrappy, but also, like, leaving room for beautiful things, like making time to come to New Orleans during Mardi Gras and, like, making time to go to these incredible festivals that I've been to and, like, traveling. And I think future me would be really proud that, like, even in this time of, like, hard grind, like, still taking a beat to, like, enjoy these things that, like, you can really only enjoy in your youth and, like, making space for that and, like, despite all the grind, like, making sure that there's still room for the beauty.
And even finding beauty in, like, the mundane. One thing that I've been doing a lot, I'm a big anti-chore person, like, especially dishes. I hate dishes. And so recently I've just been saying to myself, like, how lucky am I that I get to do my dishes? Like, that I have the soap to wash
Running
them.
water.
Yeah, I have running water. I have hot water.
Dishes.
Yeah. I like the food that I ate on them. How lucky am I that I get to cook? Like, that I live in this life that I've dreamed of. And sure, I maybe didn't dream of washing dishes, but the life that I dreamed of includes washing dishes. And how beautiful is that?
You can't have one without the other.
No.
It's really profound and really beautiful. And I feel like in some ways we've kind of been on repeat because it's like, I feel like it's the same lessons kind of over and over again, where it's like, be grateful for what you have, be present in the moment, go through what you're going through, like everything that's meant for you will find you. I mean, it's like the same lessons over and over and over again. You're just like kind of relearning them and reliving them constantly.
Well, and I would say too, like, you relearn them as you grow through new things. Like, I would have never thought 10 years ago at 16 that I would be facing the same problems just in a different form. And it's like, sometimes it can be disheartening to think like, oh, I've already overcome this, but like, oh my God, here I am again, learning it again in just a different way.
Yeah.
Like, it just takes a different form now.
Well,
Yeah.
I think it's also a matter of like you're going, like you said, you're going through it in a different way, so you have to adapt in a different way. It's like the idea of a cold. Like, your immune system, when your immune system, you have a cold, your immune system builds immunity against that specific strain of cold. You're gonna have a cold 600 more times in your life. It's gonna be the exact same symptoms, but biologically it's a different cold.
Yeah.
Right? You're gonna go through similar things. Your buttons are always gonna be your buttons. They are just gonna be pushed in different scenarios in your life. And it's just a matter of, learning them and the beauty in them.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I'm so grateful for my friendships with both of you. And they're very different as individuals, but as a trio, it's like a unique flavor, which I really appreciate, like both as individual relationships. And I know you guys have your own individual relationship too, but then also like as a trio, I can really appreciate. Oh my God, I had to shout out the sign. When Valeria and Katie and Jeff picked me up, they had a welcome sign. Valeria also made a welcome sign for Jeff and Katie. I had to tell you, I've been welcomed into a lot of homes, into a lot of things in the last 3 months and in my life. But I'd say like that was probably one of the best welcomes. It's probably why I was so easily able to take a shit in her house. I just felt so comfortable.
And I want to say, like, I can't take credit for that because back in January or in December, my boyfriend picked me up with a sign and flowers, and nobody had ever done that. Oh, no, not right now. And nobody had ever done that, and I felt so loved. And I remember thinking, I want to make every single person
Ever comes feel like
that.
Yeah.
So
I felt so welcomed and so loved. And you guys know I was coming off of the leg of a trip that was like pretty sad. And like, I mean, you guys also know that the last like week or so mentally has been very tough for me and emotionally has been very tough for me. And I'm very grateful for these friendships and very grateful for both of you in my life. And like the hours of going through my shit with no resolution.
like, but like it's like time to like it's just time to like download with people who know your heart, and like you can also call them and be like, hey, you're not being your highest self currently. I'll say it gently.
You're the horse at the water and you're refusing to drink.
You're the whole crystal clear spring water for you to drink, and your stupid horse ass
Is not fucking drinking it. Drink the bucket.
I think that it's rare you have those people in your life, because so often people will be like, yeah, but water actually does look like shit, and they like placate you into your own delusion.
Well, and on the other end, it's like so often it'll happen that you're like, drink the fucking water, you
Yeah.
idiot. And if I were to say that to so many people, they'd be like,
Yeah.
I'm never gonna tell
Like,
you about my
you're-
problems again because you're
literally.
too mean and
Be like,
too aggressive.
Actually, I'm
And
not thirsty anymore.
yeah, I'm not thirsty anymore. Also, I'm not gonna tell you that I'm thirsty
Right.
anymore. You know?
Good point.
Yeah.
But this is special.
Yeah.
And all to think that one time at summer camp,
Well, it wasn't one time, it was many years.
Can you believe Katie didn't follow me on Instagram? No. I will never forget this. It was, and mind you, this was a year after years after I had already followed her on Instagram. I was already a captain. It was my first year as captain. And that was when she was like head captain, and she was help or support or whatever. So they were picking like captain of the year that gets a date with Destiny, and she like was just chatting me up about it. And then I was like, yeah, Katie. And somehow we got into talking about Instagram like highlight reels, and she was like, yeah, I have the one that's like it me KT, and I was like, I know, I love it. And she pulled it up, or I guess I pulled it up. Or no, you pulled it up, and then you went to mine.
let's see your.
And then I was like, yeah, Katie, you don't follow me. And I knew that she didn't follow me, but I was just never going to bring it up because I thought Katie, like, just didn't see me as a friend, I guess. Like, I thought to her that, like, she was just above me. And I was like, that's okay. That's what Katie thinks she is.
I never thought, like, I'm not good at it. I'm like the worst phone person. Like, I'm terrible at texting. I'll be really good. I'm like the texter where I'll be like, let's text really intently for 5 minutes, and then I'm like, and I'm gone.
Yeah.
You know? You're like, yeah, I know, guys. With Instagram, I'm kind of the same way. Like, people will follow me or I'll follow them, and I just don't know. I'm also not the person on Instagram who, like, likes anything. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, I saw your post. It's like, you didn't like it. You didn't comment. I'm like, I have to take, like, mental... I have to remember very intently, like, do that.
Did you even like my vlog this morning?
I'm not sure I even liked it.
I'm not sure I haven't
started
seen it. I'm not gonna lie to you. But I'm not like
Instagram
Instagram.
vlog, and I don't even think I liked it.
But it was
You're
so.
like, "Oh, I like this. I like it." You just like don't like
Yeah, and said it to your face that I liked it, which I think is worth more.
Yeah, but I literally was just like, yeah, Katie,
was awkward.
you don't follow me. She's like, oh my God, I can't believe it. Like, you didn't say anything. I was like, what am I going to say? Like,
Follow me back.
you don't follow me? That's awkward.
That's awkward, but
So here we are.
Here we are.
And she follows me now.
this is all. I only hang out with her because I feel guilty about not following her back.
That's fine by me.
Follow her all around the world.
That's fine by me. If that's the price you need to pay,
So be it.
that's fine.
That's fine. All right, guys. Well, thanks for
Are
coming.
we signing off?
Yeah,
We are
do you
signing
have
off.
Words of wisdom.
We live and we die. We live and we die.
It's like about what you do in the middle. I would say, signing off, if anyone takes anything from anything that they've watched in all of this ridiculousness that we've been doing, is simplify. If it is blank, it is blank. Right?
If it feels icky,
It's icky. Exactly. If it feels good, it is good. If it feels inspiring, it is inspiring. Like, put your own word in there. But you're right. Trust it and follow it. And what about you?
Words of wisdom. I feel like I've gained a lot of words of wisdom. I think right now, what I need to hear is like, as feelings are coming up, just fucking feel them and like simplify and just be like, oh, I'm experiencing this sadness or this like anxiety or this joy or this ecstasy or whatever. Like, feel it and don't fucking like analyzing it's
Notice
good.
yourself.
Yeah, like analyzing it's good to a certain point to understand yourself on a deeper level. But if you're analyzing it instead of feeling it, then you need to express and not suppress. And by you, I mean me. And then the other thing that Steph said to me was embrace the mess. And like this year for me is supposed to feel messy. I'm supposed to feel uncertain. I'm supposed to have no fucking idea what I'm doing. Fall on my face, like just be confused and hurt and sad, but also like experience all the joys and amazing opportunities that are in front of me and just embrace the mess of it all. Like, it's not going to be clean and cut and whatever. Like, that's what literally the whole point of this year is, to like not fucking know, to blow up my life, start over, and just embrace the mess.
You'll thank yourself for that one day.
Yeah, embrace the mess. And it's something I'm not great at because I'm like love to clean and I love to organize and I just want to put everything with like in a pretty little box with a label on it for my label maker. But that's not life, and that's not what I can do. It's like right now I need to embrace the mess because that's what my life is, and like it's supposed to be this right now. So I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Visualize Meditations podcast. Please follow, subscribe, leave a review, all of the good things. If you want to connect more, you can find me on TikTok and Instagram at Living Your Vision. So what are you waiting for? Get out there, create the life of your dreams, and we will see you next week.